This is Shred, and today we're going to learn the music theory behind the #1 exotic guitar scale. I'm talking about the Phrygian mode. It's the third mode of the major scale, boasting a dark, ominous quality. Using my composer's toolkit, I'll break down the primary aspects of these mystical tones. The scale, the primary chords, and a counterpoint phrase. I'll even write a short composition on the fly to demonstrate the tasty wickedness this mode has to offer. You can join my live class to learn music theory and composition. Now's the perfect time to join because I just started a course on exotic scales. Book a free call with me below for details. Now let's get started with my composer's toolkit here. So let's just put that in, composer's toolkit. And we're going to be looking at the Phrygian mode today. Now, the composer's toolkit is just a few primary elements that you can use to get your creative juices flowing, and it starts with the letters or the alphabet of this musical language. I like to use a language metaphor here, so we're going to be doing the E Phrygian mode, which starts on the note E, surprise, surprise. And let's even zoom in a little bit here. So we've got our root, which is E, and then the flat second degree F is next. Of course, F stands for fudge, tastes good. I think everyone knows that. The 10th fret of the A string is the minor third. This is a very important aspect of the mode because that defines our tonality. Now, we're going to move up to the perfect 4th A, the perfect 5th B. The minor 6 is another really important tone that gives it a haunting quality. The flat 7 D, and then we're back to the root E. And these magical, mystical tones form the E Phrygian mode. Now, what comes next is the C word, and by the C word I mean chords. Chords are very crucial if you want to be a composer. So if you just know that scale, it's not actually going to do that much for you. But if you understand the chord progressions that go with the scale, then you can write a song. So the primary chords are the minor 1, which is E minor. And let me put in that chord. And the next chord we're moving to is the exotic aspect of this, which is absolutely delicious and hypnotizing. I could sit here and listen to this chord progression all day long, and here's how it sounds. Just feel the primal pull. Just sinks into every fiber of your soul. That's a really special chord progression, and you'll hear it used in actually a lot of different genres of music. Now, once we have our scale and our chord progression, you could go to a counterpoint phrase next, but I'm thinking actually maybe we'll just sketch out a few more options for the chords while we're at it. So we'll get to the counterpoint in a minute, but let's say you feel like, just these two chords are limiting. Well, what you could do is add some inversions to spice things up. Let's say we've got our E minor here, and then we'll march up the fretboard using the primary chords E minor and F. There's an F major 7. And then, let's see, what could we do next here? Let's say, let's do something like this. That's kind of a cool voicing for the E minor. And then for the F, how about that? That's actually quite nice. And then the last one, before your brain explodes, go here, and then for the last F, let's try that. So if I put in the chord labels here, E minor, they're going to call this F major 7, which is fine. And then this is E minor over G. We got F major over A. Then we have the second inversion voicings of the chords. But the main thing to keep in mind here is that it's all E minor to F. So we get this sort of vibe. Oh. Oof, really nice. So those are all different variations of the same theme or the same sound. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, how do I actually write a song with this shred? And the answer is Counterpoint, the other C word. So I'll tell you what, Counterpoint is just the study of how voices move. Now let's get in close for a thorough examination of the C word. And essentially, I'm combining the scale and the chords for Counterpoint. So we'll start with this power chord that we probably all know. So that's going to be like your E minor. And then we'll move to an F sound. And I love that movement. Let's go back to the root power chord. And then we're going to do a little variation on that F, and we'll end it with those octave E's. So this is actually something that you could start riffing to. So here's how it sounds. That's actually really delicious and powerful. So let me give you an example of what I mean by turning this into a riff. And actually, before we do that, let me just put in the Counterpoint here. Counterpoint isn't something to get confused by. It's just a tool you can use to get your creative ideas off the ground. So let's say we want to make a riff, right? Let's use like a standard gallop pattern, which would be, you know, 8th note to 2 16th notes sort of thing. Bum bada dum bada dum bada dum. Man, this is, let me actually speed up the tempo here real quick. Let's say we'll go for like 100 beats per minute. And once you have a little chug happening, you start hitting these counterpoint figures like this. So let me put a couple of these in here and see if we can actually turn this into like a musical phrase that makes any kind of sense. Okay, let's do one more of the chugs, and this could be your next epic riff, honestly. So let's see. Let's just say we'll end it back here. So I'm gonna put this bar back up and end it there. So what we have is this little figure, right? So you can see that could be a little riff. And the cool thing is it's not just regular power chords. When you just move those parallel power chords around, I don't know about you, but I get a little bit sick of that shit. Now, in the next phase, what I want to do is combine all these elements we've been working on into a full-fledged composition. The objective essentially is to systematize the creative process. It's not a lightning bolt that comes every 666 years. It's something that you can develop through specific routines and exercises. Just like if you wanted to get big biceps at the gym, you know, you work on your curls. If you want to become a better composer, you work on the composer's toolkit. So here I have 4 lines of music, and we're gonna basically just orchestrate a little short composition that you could use for any kind of performing ensemble, whether that be a metal band or even an orchestra. So the first step in this process is always to lay a pedal tone foundation so that we have proper context for the tonal center. And in the case of E Phrygian dominant, our key center is going to be E. So, and that's definitely not an E. There's an E. Come on, get it together, Shred. So what we're going to do is rep this E out a few times and move that throughout the first line. So that's really simple, and you'll hear this exact same idea in Enter Sandman by Metallica in the beginning. And truth be told, this concept is used in nearly every hit song you've ever heard. And the reason is because we like to hear tonal music in the West. We're not so much into atonality and dissonance. So don't overlook this simplistic step. It's very important, and you can build complexity on top of it. So we just have this. And that's going to get us going. So that will be our pedal tone. Now, the next phase is going to be incorporating the primary chords that we sketched out earlier, E minor and F. So there'd be a billion ways you could do this. But let's try this voicing here. This is like one of my favorite stretch piano voicings. So that's going to be our E minor. So let's get that in there. And see, this phase, let's call the chords. And let's move to the next bar and sketch out that second chord in the harmony. So you could think about the formula for this as being minor 1 to flat major 2. That's E minor and F, and the reason I use those Roman numerals is so that you could transpose it to a different key. Now the F major chord, using that same stretch piano voicing, is going to be like that. F stands for fuck. Okay, good. Now, let's reiterate this idea, but maybe change it up a little bit. We'll keep that E minor, but then for this bar, let's just change the voicing. So there we have like a richer F major 7 over E, but the important thing to keep in mind is that it's just an F chord, so don't get it twisted. Now, line 3. Actually, let's hear what we have thus far. Oh, yeah. That last chord gets me. Here it comes. Get ready. Oh, yeah. There's something about that F major 7 chord in its third inversion that is just to die for. Now, at this stage, everyone's going to be saying, well, yeah, that's great and all, but we need a melody, son. Let's get a strong line in here, and I'm thinking let's make it more rhythmic, since everything thus far has been very not interesting rhythmically. So let's do like an eighth note rest. And a strong melody note to start on is always the 5th, B, which stands for bitch. And let's just do like a little climb here. Is that going to work? And then finish it off with a little something here. Whoa, the 31st fret. I don't think that fret exists. So what I want to do, I just got to find the right rhythms here to make it fit in the bar, which is like that. So, okay. Yeah. Okay, good. I like that so far. And then maybe, okay, yeah, I think I know what I want to do here. Let's go really hard on the chord tones for this bar. So we've got the 5th of the F chord C, and then we'll do the 3rd of the F chord. Oh, there we go. And then what we need is the root here too. Let's see if this adds up. Yeah, I think we're onto something here, and I could use a little bit more volume. I feel like why is this so low? Cannot change the dynamic level. Here, let's try that. Yeah. Okay, now that's going to be like our phrase template, and we'll copy and paste that over. You know, once you state a theme, it's nice to repeat it and change it slightly. So the next time it comes around, let's just let's head up to the root of the F major chord, which is F, and then maybe hit the 7th for some spice. Holy shit, what just happened? Let's get back. And then we'll end on the 6th degree. So that's kind of mixing things up a little bit. And let's label this melody. Okay, now let's see what we just cooked up. Yeah, I like it. So that's really a completed song at this stage. You know, you have all your primary elements, you know, the melody, the harmony, the rhythm, but it can be fun just to add a little bit more orchestration, just to see what you can do. So let's try to add another part. And one thing I want to emphasize at this stage is that it's really easy to make a mess unless you keep the frequency spectrum divided. So this first part here is, you know, lower, and then this part is more like in a medium register. The melody's in a high register up on top of the staff. And then I'll be thinking about where I can put this part so that it doesn't clash with the frequencies of the other parts. So it's better to have, you know, like, yeah, one part up here, another part down here, so it's just really clear and distinct. Okay, now the question is, what do we want to do for our last part? And maybe the answer is start on the root. Try something different here. And I want to make this kind of rhythmic too. Okay. So this is going to have maybe like a bouncing sort of quality. Let's see. Now, we can't hear that. Maybe I'll turn down the melody for a second so that we can hear this part that we're playing. So I'll select the melody, take it down a dynamic, and this part now. Yeah, you sort of hear that little bounce there. Yum ba bum bum. So if we solo that, let's listen. Yeah, so it's got a little bit of English on it because of that rhythm. And then the next line, we'll just do the same thing, but make it outlining an F chord. So this is like just, you know, an F power chord, essentially. Okay? Yeah. Now, let's copy these parts over for the repetition of our phrase. Whoops. And for the last one, I think, instead of going up to the 5th of the chord, I'm going to go down to the 5th in a lower octave. And let's see, what do we call this part? I don't know. Rhythm. Because that's more rhythmic, I think, than the other line. So let's see what we have all together here. Yeah. A lot happening, but it all kind of weaves together. has like a dark, brooding quality, and really it sounds like a video game loop. You could use these as stems where you play just one of the lines and then a second line comes in, third line, fourth line, and it just builds on top. Now I'm curious, what do you think about the sound of this mode? How would you describe it in one word? Sign up for my live class to learn music theory and composition. I'm so pumped about what we're learning right now. We're doing an exotic scale masterclass. So every week is a different exotic scale. We're doing the Way of the Samurai next week. That's going to be a deep dive into the Japanese Hirajoshi scale. Book a free call with me below to learn more, and honestly, I can't wait to meet you and hear your music.